Hey my friend, this is Joe Bakhmoutski, author of Simplify Cancer and founder of Power to Be Happy. Listen, right now I want to talk to you about personal responsibility and how personal responsibility is critical when you're trying to become a better leader. Because to me, leadership is all about, accepting the responsibility to help those in need, to help people around you to be who they want to be. And that's why we always end up, leading, whether that's being in your family or in your community or with people that you work with or even yourself, as you're always striving to become a better person, right? And a true leader will always take up responsibility for things that other people don't want. A true leader will always take responsibility for things that other people want to push away in terms of, being responsible for. And that really happens I believe for three reasons. So the number one reason why people kind of want to push responsibility away, well, because it's not easy, right? It's not an easy thing to do, but at the same time, how can you have people look up to you when you don't own up for things that you do in your life today and where you're going? How can people look up to you if you don't own up for things that have happened in the past, even if you haven't been directly responsible for those things? How can people look up to you? How can they really respect you if you don't kind of hold up and take personal responsibility for the future that you want to be a part of? I think that is such a critical component of moving forward with your life, for who you are as a person. People need to get a sense of you having an ownership of everything that happens in your life, because how can they trust you when you don't trust yourself? When you don't trust yourself to do the things that you set out for yourself to do, right? So this is why taking personal responsibility is critical. And sometimes that's all about kind of reclaiming that sense of personal responsibility of where you are and staking your claim, really kind of putting your weight behind the words that you say, behind what you project. And people can really respond to that in a really powerful way, because they can tell when you've been honest and authentic, when you kind of speak your mind, and when you really do what you said you're gonna do, right? So this is where you don't have to announce it to the world. You don't have to commit to it in a way where you can't turn away from it, like in public or in front of others in some sort of a way. But this is where the point where I'm asking you to make a personal commitment to one area in your life right now, to one key part of your life that you're not going to turn away from. One key area of your life that you feel strongly about, that is very personal to you, and do so in a way that is understated, in a way that is quiet, in a way that maybe other people will never even find out about. They might never even know that you have that, but that you are going to be responsible for yourself. I know for me, several years ago, when I was going through treatment for testicular cancer, I had an operation and I was about to start chemotherapy. On my first day, I rolled into hospital and they put the drip into my vein, and I was scared. I was so freaked out. I had no idea what to expect. There's going to be all these side effects, and this whole thing is going to take a while. I don't even know if it's going to work. So I was panicking, but I was looking at how people in my life were reacting to it. I saw my mom and my wife and our son. I saw how much stress was it putting on them, and how worried they were for me, for themselves, for all of us. And I knew that in that moment when I was sitting in that chair, getting driven by rain, I thought I gotta get a grip on this, and I'm gonna make a personal commitment to do everything in my power to handle this in such a way that doesn't really stress people around me even further. And I really got put so much effort into just trying to control it, and not try to be perfect, but try to deal with it in a way that is authentic, that is open, that is going to support people in my life as well. And you know what? I'm sure I've messed up a bunch of times, and I'm sure I've I've been too emotional or something at one point. But the reality is, it helped me to get through it, and I think it helped people around me as well. And this was a personal commitment that I made that nobody knew about. That nobody was standing there shaking my head saying, "Congratulations, Joe, you did an awesome job." Nobody's done that. This was just a personal commitment that I made to myself that no one knew about, but I think that's made a difference. So that's what I'm asking you to make right now, is think about one area of your life right now. What is something that is important to you that you can commit to for the next year to make a real change in that one area of your life that you're going to be responsible for? And it's just going to be quiet, understated commitment that no one else might know about. No one might even give you credit for. It might never be acknowledged in any way, but that you know you're gonna make that happen. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You don't need to commit to it in some huge way that other people are gonna kind of hold you accountable for. This is gonna be your own personal commitment to one area of your life, and the one change that you are gonna make, or one change that you're gonna stick with. What is that for you? I'd love for you to know that, because that's one reason why people don't take responsibility, because it's not easy, right? Taking that responsibility, it's easy to push things away. But I know that when you take that responsibility in your life for something that you care about, it makes it easier to stay on track. And that's why people are going to listen to you, and they're going to respect you more, and they're going to be able to trust you, because you're able to uphold your values, and you're able to stake your claim for the life that you want to have, and for the vision that you have for yourself. Also, the second reason really why people want to push responsibility aside is because we kind of go, well, it's not my role. It's not part of what people see themselves doing, right? It's kind of often in life we assume that when you have the role of maybe leading a team, or as an owner of the business, or as a father, or as a friend, right? If you have those roles, that when you just being a part of that world, it means that just things are going to get automatically done, that you yourself are just going to do the right thing because that's what you do. But that's not always the case, is it? Right? Because quite often in life, when we assume things, something throws you off. Something doesn't go to plan. And that's why it's so crucial to really to support people in a way that goes beyond the immediate role, and really being able to reconnect with supporting people where they are at right now, and taking that kind of sense of personal ownership to really say, what am I going to do to support this person moving forward? Because there is no such a thing as a role and a kind of bunch of responsibilities. When you have a role, as a parent, when you have a role as a partner of someone in a relationship, when you have a role of being a true friend to someone, the role is the responsibility. You know, the role is the personal responsibility and the commitment that you make to supporting that person, to have a good life, to be the best person that they can be moving forward. So it all becomes about a really supporting person in what they do in the world, supporting them in reaching their goals, in fulfilling their ambitions, to reaching towards their dreams. So I'm asking you right now to think of one person in your life who really needs you the most, and really to think about how can you support their dream. What sort of dream or ambition that they have that you can really help to make come to life. You know, I think back on a few years ago when my son was just finishing kinder, right, and he got asked by the teacher. The teacher said, like, who would you like to be when you grow up? And he probably surprised everyone. When he said, "I want to be a prosthetic engineer," right? Because we've spent a little bit of time watching all these videos of a crocodile getting a prosthetic tail, and all a man who got his legs back after a horrific accident. So we watched all those things, and it kind of inspired him. We talked about he was asking questions about how do you get to do that? How do you get to help people? How do you get to help animals to live the life that they want to have? And we said, well, this is what the prosthetic engineer does. So, and when he kind of said it out loud, me and my wife, we've done our best to support him on that dream. To talk about the dream as if it was a real thing, because it is, right? A dream is supposed to be something that you believe in, because if you don't believe in it, if other people around you don't believe in that dream, then nothing is going to happen. So this is why it's so critical for us to support the person with that dream. And we would talk about how you can go to these universities and you can do this type of course, even though that was that is years away. And we took him to a workshop with engineers who kind of show kids how prosthetic engineering works, and we looked at a bunch of videos, and we just kind of talk about it as if it's a real thing, which it is, right? And even though he might change his mind a bunch of times, it doesn't matter. We are supporting that dream. We are supporting him in his dreams, because when people feel that you are there for them, that you take that dream seriously, when you talk about it, when you're doing something that is actively, that is pushing them forward and holding them, that they can really lean back on in times of need, in times of challenges, and in times of uncertainty, which we all go through, which are inevitable, they're gonna have more trust and more respect and more care for you than ever before. So who is the person in your life whose dream you can really help to make it real, whose dream you can support and move them forward in a big powerful way? Because that is again another big reason why why people sometimes don't take responsibility for things, because they feel that it's not part of their role. And if you do take that stance that your role is the responsibility, your role is your responsibility, and that means supporting people in their dreams, in their ambitions, and in their goals, then when you can choose one person who is going to be the person that you can help over the course of next year, you can really make a huge tangible difference, not only to their life, but also to the way that you see yourself. Now, there's also a third reason that I want to talk to you about right now, about why people sometimes want to push responsibility away, why they kind of don't take ownership or accountability for what it is that they do, because often they feel powerless to change things. that can happen when you look at life as, I guess, a series of random events that happen and that you have no control over, and you kind of become almost a victim because you're like a passenger who's unfolding, watching events unfold, and you feel like you're not in control of what's happening in your life. And that leads you to all sorts of potentially wrong conclusions as well. For me, I remember the time when when my first long-term relationships got broken up. I remember looking at my ex, and I blamed her for everything. I blamed her for cheating on me. I blamed her for ultimately leaving me for another man, and it hurt. It really cut me deep, and I really felt really bad for myself and sorry for myself in so many ways. But there was also a part of me. There was also a part of me that said, "Is there anything I could have done differently to stop it from happening? And even if I couldn't, what can I do now to prevent that from ever happening in the future ever again?" And I took that personal responsibility to say, this will never happen again. I will never let this happen in my life ever again. And I made a personal commitment to that. And you know what? It just triggered a whole bunch of changes. It triggered a whole different attitude to life, because all of a sudden I started to want to influence things, and it changed the way that I was around people. It changed the way that I approached dating. It changed how I thought about the type of person that I wanted to meet, and how I kind of wanted to do things around that. So that's been just a completely critical change, because what happens is the more responsibility you keep, the more responsibility you take upon yourself to make a change in your life, the more responsibility that you take to support other people, the more kind of you take up for yourself, not only the more you can handle and the more positive changes you can bring into your life and into the life of so many people around you, but also that means that you are in control so much more. You feel empowered around what's happening in your life. You feel that you can influence things. You feel that you are in control of what's happening, right? And people around you, they can tell that. They can feel that because you've got a different vibe, you've got a different presence, right? They can feel all of that coming on from you, right? Because you come in with a completely different level of energy. And tell you what, when people see you taking ownership of an area in your life that you can really got a handle on, it inspires them to also to take responsibility for something in their life and make a real change in that. So I want to ask you to think about, what is the one thing that you want to be remembered for, or how you want to be seen by someone in your life, someone that you care about. Maybe it's your co-workers, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's your child, maybe it's your partner. But what is the kind of the one quality that you really wanna ring true? I know that for me, when I started to think of one overarching quality that I wanted for people to really get a sense of who I am, and this would be anyone I get around with, I wanted to get a sense of my authenticity. I want to know that when people interact with me, regardless of whether they like me or not, that they know that I'm for real. And I started to really I started to take that on. I put a note on my fridge that said authentic. I put notes in my phone like as an alarm that would ring and remind me to be authentic. And that made me to say what I think, to talk about things that I believe in, to stand up for what is truly important for me, to and then if I made a commitment that to really own up to that, and that's how people see me now more so than ever. Because it doesn't mean that they like me. There's a whole bunch of people that don't, and that's cool as well. That doesn't matter. But for me, what matters the most is that people see me as completely true to myself, and true to my own values and beliefs and who I am in the world, because they know that it's not fake, it's not real. So, what is that one thing for you that you can kind of take on and say, well, what can I be? Because when you do that, when you project that upon the world, people feel that upon themselves, and they can feel that they can take more personal responsibility and make a change in their life. Thank you for being here. My name is Joe Bakhmoutski. Thank you for being a part of this. I'll see you soon.